Hi, Ian O'Brien here from Guitar Learning Questions. This is our weekly video Q&A session where I answer one of your questions about learning guitar in a video lesson kind of format. Okay, so here we go. The first question, or the main question this week, is from Mike Armstrong. It is saying his biggest problem: how do you change chords without stopping your right hand, okay? Or your strumming hand. If you're left-handed, that would be your left hand. So without stopping your strumming hand. Now, Mike's right-handed, so he's talking about his right hand. But the thing with this one is, when in the early stages of playing, you'll have learned a couple of chord shapes, in the sense that you can put your fingers down in the right places and you can strum, and it sounds not bad. It sounds pretty reasonable. Might sound excellent. Okay, and then you can put your fingers down somewhere else in another chord shape and you can strum it and play it. And again, that one sounds good. The challenge is when you actually got a rhythm going like this and you want to change chords, you have a hesitation. Okay, where you strum the rhythm, you fret the chord, you strum the rhythm, and then in order to get to the next chord, you have to sort of actually stop your strumming, stop your right hand, and that is obviously a bit of a problem. It's really common with people who are new to the guitar. Okay, so in the first few months, maybe even longer, of playing, this can happen. And so I'm going to go through 3 different things that I think will help you. Well, that I know will help you, because I've helped a lot of people with these things in the past. Anyway, so the problem usually at this stage, it's not actually a problem of the strumming hand, a problem of the right hand, okay? Sometimes the rhythm is a little bit complex, so I'd recommend simplifying the rhythm and building it up to the more complicated one. But really, the issue here, the sort of bottleneck or the constraint, is the speed of the chord change. It's the chord change itself, okay? It could be because you're going for chords that are a little bit too tricky, they're a little bit beyond where you are, and I'm just going to throw this in there. If you want a set of chords that is designed, real chords, not just weird made up ones, real chords that are picked and chosen and designed around facilitating easy and fluid chord changes from the beginning, then do check out my cheat sheet based around the 6 Django chords. I'll throw it in below in the comments, a link below. Anyway, if you want to have a go with them, but whatever chords you're using, okay, the chords may be a little bit advanced for where you are, and that might be what slows down your change, okay? But the thing to do is work on your change actually in isolation. Don't worry about the strumming, don't worry about the pattern or the rhythm or the timing or any of those things, or the coordination between your 2 hands. There's a lot going on when you just strum a few chords between your 2 hands, and a lot to take on board, and it's best to do it in stages. Once you've got one, you've mastered it, you can move on and you can do the next one, and you'll have the whole picture then, but focusing on a different thing at a time. I don't mean linearly, like do that one, make sure it's perfect, do that, make sure it's perfect, but working on key different areas, you build them up and they help you do the whole picture. Okay, so the thing is to actually work on the changes themselves, okay, without worrying about the strumming. I mean, you can strum each chord once just to check it sounds good. Okay, but it's not the strumming, it's not the coordination. Keeping doing this with that pause, it doesn't help. It really doesn't help, okay? We want everything together, so we want to work on the speed of the change, because that's the sort of weakness here, and that's the, not really a weakness, but that's the thing that's preventing you moving forward and playing the same thing as a whole. It's actually the speed and the movement of the chord change. It's not the strumming pattern itself, particularly, or usually it isn't, okay? So it's the chord changes to be worked on. So that's the first thing. Isolate the chord changes and have a go at them, okay? Now, next up is, second approach to this, is to take the whole thing, okay? Now, your chord changes only happen so far at a certain speed, okay? You're only able to change chords at a particular speed, so trying to play the tune, or the song, or the chord progression, or whatever, faster than that, it's just not going to work, because that is the limitation, okay, like I said before. So the other solution to this, okay, is to slow the whole thing down. The whole thing, strumming, even if it feels you're playing guitar on the moon, you're like really walk in slowly, and that's absolutely fine as long as the whole thing is together in sync, in coordination, your two hands. Then you can gradually, slowly, picking up the pace of the whole thing together, okay? But we don't want, I said this before, we don't want to strum a bit, stop, strum a bit, stop. We want the whole thing in sync. So one of the solutions for that is to slow the whole thing down, okay? So that would be more like this. And maybe that's still not slow enough, okay? As slow as it needs to be. Because it's all about the synchronicity of your two hands and the coordination that allows you to stick everything together. Okay, cool. So next, the third thing is going back to the Mike's original question about stopping his right hand, okay, or his strumming hand, is that it's really important. This is a kind of an approach, kind of a mindset thing about what's the boss, what's sort of leading what you're playing, okay? Now it's really important that actually your right hand is in charge of this stuff. Now if your right hand is stopping to wait for the other hand, it's not the one that's in charge, okay? And this comes from, you know, following the first two steps first, that it's at a speed you can come to play it, that everything's slowed down. But to practice in such a way that you're strumming continuously, okay, and you're actually forcing the changes in. Yeah, this is the dominant thing. Your right hand, your strumming hand, your left hand has to get in line with that, or it's just not going to work. Okay, so don't worry about if you make a mistake or you put your finger on the wrong string when you're changing chords. Okay, what I'm going to say is keep strumming. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect. It has to be sort of 80%, but more importantly, the skill to develop is to be able to adjust your fingers as you go, okay? And that's the difference between someone who can play really well, seemingly, and sort of a beginner or a novice, is that they do make mistakes, they do fluff things, they do land in imperfect places from time to time, but they adjust as they go, and they do it at such a speed and such a fluidity that you don't necessarily notice. If they stopped every time you made a mistake, you know, there'd be an outcry at gigs and concerts and stuff, you know, it'd be a disaster. So it's about recovering, and it's about moving through it fluidly as you go, which is sort of a mindset thing. It's getting used to it, okay? So your right hand is the boss, okay? It doesn't stop, but it does go slow enough to allow the other hand, okay? And if you land something wrong, keep going and see if you can adjust as you go. It might sound horrendous. You might get some real clangers from time to time, okay? But you will learn to improve it as you go. Now, like I said, every chord doesn't need to be perfect in the beginning, but if you keep stopping to allow you to put it in the perfect place and then strum it, it's never going to come together. You're never going to have that glue, that rhythmic kind of sense, and it's not going to sound like a song, it's not going to sound like a piece of music. So you've got to slow the whole thing down, but you've got to let the right hand be the dominant factor. Okay, now the key thing here, this is really crucial, I think, it doesn't matter if you lift up the chord a little bit early, okay? What matters is that you get the next chord down in time for that first strum. Like I said, right hand is the boss. You have to have that chord down in time for the strum, even if it's not perfect. If it's almost perfect, it's good enough for now, okay? We don't want being perfectionists to stop us, you know, getting this stuff fluid. So you can lift up in time as long as you're back down for the next chord in time. That's the key thing, okay? I'm going to show you an example of this. I'm going to just play the same old chords again. Here we go. Sounds pretty good. Okay, and I'm actually lifting up before I finished strumming. That final strum is the open strings. Now, it's sort of a stylistic thing. Certain musicians do this all the time, and it's part of their sound and part of the way they play. Bob Dylan does it a lot. Kurt Cobain, Nirvana, all the time. And it's really part of their style. You don't have to play like that. But at first, it will help your fluidity, and it doesn't matter if you lift up a little bit early. That's the thing I want to express. Even earlier than that, you can get away with it, okay? It might sound a little bit not to your taste, Okay, but if it's helping you pull everything together fluidly, it's okay, because you'll speed up your changes in time and you'll get your fingers down much quicker by working on your changes on their own, which is step one. Okay, so it's okay to lift up early. It's not okay to get it down late or to stop. So slow down what you're doing and go for the whole thing, fluidity of the whole thing. Okay, so I hope this has been helpful. If you do want to find out more about changing chords and be walked step by step through quite a few things that will get you up and changing your first chords quickly and fluidly while you're strumming and get playing some songs with them, do check out my Django chord system, because it's all in there and it's built around a real set of chords chosen to be the most playable and changeable from the very beginning. It starts with just using perfecting your strongest finger, so you can move them fluidly and accurately, and then it'll bring another finger into play, another finger into play. So that's sort of the way I structure my learning of chords. It's very step by step and builds upon each other. It's sort of cumulative. Anyway, so I'll put a link below. That's something you might be interested in. I don't know. It's up to you. If not, the stuff I've said in this video also very helpful in this situation. If you do want to grab a copy of my 6 Django chords, so that you can see a set of chords that are easier and more fluid to change between for the very beginning, ideal for beginners and anyone who's frustrated with their chord changes, anyone who feels like they're having to stop their right hand to change, that's definitely the first port of call. I would say check out those chords first, sort of get through the frustration, get changing some really doable changeable chords, get playing some songs with them, and then come back to the chords that are more challenging, that have more finger independence, that require more control, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so 2 things there that you can come and check out. I'll throw them below. And that's it. I've been Ian O'Brien for Guitar Learning Questions, which is my totally free Facebook community group about learning guitar, and I answer all of your questions in it, just like this video question. So if you're watching this video anywhere else, okay, just hop over to Facebook, search Guitar Learning Questions, join the group, I'll let you straight in, and you can ask whatever you want and get some help and support and accountability from a strong guitar learning community. Anyway, have a great day.